All right, I just hit record. And I've got Dennis Kurlas with me. Dennis, you and I have been working on a book. When did we start?
It's been about 3 months, I think.
Yeah, it's been a
Two,
while.
2 to 3 months. It's been fun. It's been
Yeah,
fun. Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun, and it hasn't been. We've missed some weeks here and there, but it's been pretty consistent
Oh
weekly
yeah.
that
Yep.
we've been doing book coaching.
Yep.
So, um, tell every. It's weird because we don't usually record these, so I'm having to like flip my brain from like just our normal conversation to like,
Right.
oh, I
Right.
have to bring other people into what we're doing. So tell us just like a brief synopsis of your story and like the project and what we're working on.
All
Just
right.
kind of like
Great.
give us an overview of the project.
All right. Cool. Well, this is my first go at it. So it's a story. It takes place in Greece. Most of it takes place in Greece during the 60s, 1960s. Um, there's really three parts to it. There's a 1941 part, a 1967, and a current time part of it. And it follows a man from age 7 or 8 until he's like 80. So he's born in Greece. He comes to America. He's raised in America. Goes back to Greece. He becomes involved in a love triangle and a military coup, and there's all sorts of things going
It's
on
high.
in it.
It's high drama. It's
Yeah, there
great.
you go.
I
That's
love
right.
it.
That's right.
Yeah. And how long? When did you start working on it? Kind of how long have you been playing with it?
I tell you, I've been playing around with this thing for at least 15 years.
Yeah.
And I feel since I've been working with you, and I know you didn't plant the seed or anything, but
I
since I've been
didn't.
working with you, I think I've come a long way here in the last 3 months, more than I've come in the last 7 or 8 years.
Oh,
So
thanks.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's cool.
I am really proud of the work you've done on the book. I think it's really great. And the two chapters we're going to look at today, I was
Okay.
going to say this to you whether we were on the podcast or not, just to be clear. The two chapters we're going to look at today are two of your best.
Oh, thank you.
You wrote the one from scratch that
Right.
because
That's
one of
right.
these I got to kind of sneak, you had like half drafted it. I got a sneak peek at it and gave you some advice. The second one we're going to look at, we had just kind of like talked about it, and
Right.
it's really good.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
you did a great job with it.
I'm learning. I'm learning every
Yeah.
day.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get into it.
All right. Good.
There we go. Okay. So we looked at this one the first time. This is the Alexandros and the tires. Can you see the?
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Got it.
I was on a meeting today for my day job and I shared the wrong screen and I started talking about what I was like supposed to be talking about, and nobody said anything right away. They're just like looking at me, and I was one of them started like, "Hey Jeff, we're looking at your email."
Oh,
I
that's
was like, because I shared the wrong screen. I was like, dang it. It's like, why didn't y'all say anything? I had to start over from the beginning. Yeah. So, yeah. So the first time let's go through the beats of the story real quick.
Okay.
Alexandros is this kind of Greek revolutionary leader who is this at this point in the story is this kind of mysterious, maybe sexy, definitely like a curiosity for the lead character, Margot.
Right.
Margot's a university professor from America who's an archaeologist working in Greece. And so she's not supposed to be getting involved in Greek politics, but she's been attracted to it by Alexandros. And we've had several scenes of him and her in bars with him like rallying the troops. And then they're supposed to be going to a peaceful protest. But what he does here is they're in a pickup truck. You kick off right away with him like jumping out of the truck, throwing tires in the back of the truck. He won't tell her why. And then they show up at this alley where there's other people that have tires, and they're building a big pile of them. And he seems to be in charge of the pile. And the whole time she's trying to figure out what's going on. And when she does figure it out, she starts demanding that she leaves. So we've got her voice modulation going from like her kind of being playful with him and like her normal state with him to this kind of frustrated, anxious, I've been tricked feeling in the end. And then you've got his modulation where he's fairly serious through the whole piece until the end when he starts to like once he's got the tires on fire, he starts to kind of relax a little bit.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a nice juxtaposition of the two characters where one of them is serious and the other one's trying to like keep it light. And then we transition into the other one being, both of them being serious. And then in the end, Alexandra's feeling some relief and Margot being very uneasy about what she's gotten into. So there's all that to say, there's really nice emotional movement in the piece. You did a really
Thank you.
good job.
Thank you. I might add too, so others know that this Alexandra's character is, you know, if you can imagine a Che Guevara kind of guy, you know, that's kind of what he looks like. You know, he's
Yeah,
got the
he's got the
beret, he's got the,
always
he's a,
smoking a cigarette or a cigar.
he's a
Yeah,
communist, you know.
yeah,
Okay.
he's got it going. Yeah. So my first note here was right off the bat. You have this sentence: Alexandra's opened the door of the pickup truck and commanded, "You stay inside while I get the tires." So what I love about this opening line is that we're right in the action. Right? There's no buildup. There's no like, they drove for 5 blocks and she thought about where they were. Like, we're just right in it, which for this scene is great because this is that like action scene. So we want to feel it right away. The problem with the word commanded is that you're leaving him nowhere to go. If he's commanding her up front, we don't have anywhere to go. So we want to build to commanding. We don't. So you know, I would just pull this back a little bit from commanded to like, you know, said, or you can even have like urged, you know, something that's just a little less forceful because we want to build up to that forcefulness. Yeah, this is just me playing with language. The sentence structure is a little formal, so I pulled it back. So here you have this really great conversation between the two of them where she's in this, and I love her voice up front, right? Like just looking at her voice, like, wait, can I help you? What do we need tires for? Like, what do we need tires for? He gets in the back. Hey, what's all this hurry? Right? Like, you're really parsing out her kind of confusion, and but at the same time, her like desire to keep it light. Right? Like, she's not ready to suspect anything sinister. She's just kind of like, hey, slow down. Right? Like the hey, what's the hurry communicates like, okay, she wants him to like slow down a little bit. Right? Like, and then he says, our comrades are waiting at the Polytechnic. And you've got her saying, you mean the university? Which is where she asks, where she works. So this is that first turning point you have where we can really start to feel her anxiety because it's becoming personal. So all that to say, it's a really nice opening. It pulled me in right away. We didn't waste any words here, and we're right into like the emotive pulse of the scene, which was good.
Thank you.
Yeah, really well done. Because so here he takes a pack of cigarettes from his shirt pocket, and then she says, here, I'll open it for you, which is a really nice setup because she's kind of trying to be helpful, which is part of the theme in the opening. She's trying to be helpful, and then by the end we want her like, I just want to get out of here. The problem is she's never done this before. So we need a reason for her to do it, for her character, because she's such a strong character. She wouldn't just like start opening things for him unless she had to. So I would recommend like let him try to open it himself while driving.
Got it.
And like swerve or like look off the road, or maybe he drops them and then she has to bend down and go get them. Like because I don't want you to lose the theme here where she's like trying to help him. The theme is good. And this, like, she took the pack and pulled out a cigarette and reached across the seat to put the cigarette between his lips. That's a nice visual image of the world she's trying to create in this truck, which is this like, you know, we're on a quasi date is what she's trying to do. And you get that nice visual image here. So I don't want you to lose that image, but we just need a reason for him to drop that.
Okay. All right. Good. Good.
Yeah. You notice me here, like just smoothing out the language
Mhm.
because there's some anxiety in the scene and in the conversation. They're going to use less words
Right.
and they're
Right.
going to kind of talk around things. When we're anxious, we don't like necessarily say what we mean because our mind is somewhere else. So a lot of times we'll just kind of talk around it. So originally she says, you mean the university? He says Polytechnic University. It doesn't matter what you name it. The important thing is that we get the tires there. You don't need those first two words,
Right.
right?
It's
Like,
pretty implied. It's
yeah,
implied.
it's
Yeah.
implied. And
Yeah.
so, and because he's in a hurry and he's anxious, he's going to cut those words, right? Like, then she says he'll open it for you. Um, and he says the matches are in there. He said, pointing to the glove compartment. We don't need her to say, I'll get it, right? She already said it. So
Right.
she's going to go get it. And then you have her asking, what's the deal with those tires? Which is a great question, right? Like her bringing back the tires, because that's the
Mhm.
source of her anxiety. But the real source of her anxiety is where the tires are going
Where she's going. Yeah.
and where
Right.
she's going. Because if
Right.
he was
Right.
like, oh, I'm taking the tires to a scrapyard, she'd be like, oh, I don't really want to do that, but okay. So, but now because he's taking the tires to the university, it becomes kind of suspicious. So that's why
Mhm.
she's like, so I want to change this to focus that on her
Right.
anxiety.
Well, she thinks she's with that question. She's thinking that they're taking the tires to the university.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
she wants to be like, you said, because he's not clear, right? Like whether they're going
No.
to the university or not. So she's like, so we're taking the tires to the university, right? Like this kind of like,
Yeah.
why are we taking these to my job type thing.
Good.
Dude, the rest of this was so great.
Thank
They
you.
have this conversation about Greek cigarettes. Then is awesome because she doesn't smoke and he tries. So there's nothing better than a Greek cigarette. Did you ever smoke? Which is part of his voice, right? Like something you and I know this, but I'm telling people who might be listening.
Right.
He's got this great note in his voice where he like is constantly asking questions that totally change the subject. So he's like, there's nothing better than a Greek cigarette. Did you ever smoke? She's like, I tried once, but I got sick as a dog. You should have tried again. Maybe it would have been better. She says, once is enough for me. Looking over her shoulder at the tires again, which is great that you're bringing that back. I love that you're like pulling back her, like looking at the tires. It's the note works in there really nicely. And then he says, I do not understand people. Oh, and then you bring the image of the sun going down here, which is also, you're hitting all the themes. It's great. And then he says, I don't understand people. They try something one time and then they do not do it again. What if I had turned our backs on the Italians and ran? What if the resistance fighters in Crete hid in the caves and never came out to fight the Germans? What if we do nothing and allow the fascists to win the election? I love that he did this because she wanted to talk about the resistance.
The tire. Oh yeah.
And then you have him forcing her to talk about stupid cigarettes. And then when he's ready, now he's going to talk about the resistance. So it's a really nice, like the turn in that page is really great. I really enjoyed that.
Cool.
Yeah. And then I love here that you have her trying to keep it light, right? Like, wow, that's a lot of what ifs and all because I didn't try a second cigarette, right? Like, so her kind of, and you have her laughing, right? Like you give her the body language, she laughed. Wow, that's a lot of what ifs. So you have that like body language communicating, like she's trying to keep this light and fun and they're going to a peaceful protest and everything's great. In this next section, the next turn, I added a line here. You may want to put a different line in. I added a line here to keep it focused on what they're saying, right? Like to keep the topic a little bit clearer. So he says like, this is no time to make jokes. It wasn't meant as a joke. And then I just added the movement needs commitment, not jokes. And then we can have her be like, I carried the manifesto, right? Like, so you originally had this as a single paragraph. I'm breaking it up.
Got it.
To like, to slow it down a little bit because we're getting into that emotional change. And we want to like slow down in emotional change to make sure the reader's feeling it and catching it. So we're going to have a few more back and forths and we're going to make those back and forths shorter. But then also to give her that build between it wasn't a joke and I carried the manifesto, didn't I? I'm here with you, right? I was only trying to, right? Like, because you can feel in her language the triplicates question there that gets
Yeah.
interrupted.
Right.
That's a nice, you can feel that energy building in that like 3-prong question. And then with his interruption, it really builds the energy nice. So I'm going to pull it away from it wasn't meant as a joke. I'm going to give him another line there, and then I'm going to
Yeah.
make this your second line so we can feel that build.
Yeah. That's
coming
good. That's
into
a good point. That's
Yeah.
a good point. Yeah.
Again, here I'm bringing in this forget about it because she says forget about it.
Right.
So I want to make sure he's responding directly to her, especially
That's
in this heated kind of moment. We're pulling back his ability to like modulating his voice to pull back what he usually does, which is like Greek cigarettes. But instead of doing the Greek cigarettes, we're going to drop in. Now he's going to like address what she's saying directly. So changing the words of his character voice there to like focus on the moment instead of what's happening.
Good.
So then they get to any questions about that section?
No, it's clear. That's
Awesome.
good.
And you wrote it so well. I feel like I'm just like making little edits here and there. It's really nicely done.
Well, it's the second go at it with your help. First time, we
That's
kind
true.
of,
But you didn't have any. You didn't have any of this the first time. This is all new.
No.
Yeah. So I don't accept that my help had anything to do with it. You wrote that. That was really good. So we get into here. This is just me moving words around to make it read a little bit smoother, but all the content is there.
Okay.
I did bring back, this made me laugh, so I brought this back. Where
more jokes. Yeah, I saw that.
You have more jokes. I just thought that was funny. So I brought that back 100% for me.
Good.
So feel free to delete it if you want, if you don't want to entertain Jeff's self-amusement. Yeah, so here, this is something I wanted, this sentence here is something I wanted to talk to you about. So you've got this, I didn't sign up for, originally it was, I didn't sign up for this, she said. I thought we were, and then you have her fade off and he says, stay inside, he ordered. So I want the focus, I want the beat, right? Like the real hit to be on the, I didn't sign up for this. Right? Like that.
Right.
Because
that's important. That's important.
Yeah. That's the emotional statement. This is the turn where she's like, she sees what's going on now. They're blocking a street with burning tires. That this is like an act of vandalism, an act of aggression. This isn't a peaceful protest. Like he's brought her into more. So that's what she's trying to say and doesn't want to say out loud, that I'm in the wrong place, right? Like that's the confession. So we want to give that all of the power in the sentence.
Okay.
Right. We want the sentence to land there. So by moving it in the back, we have, instead of having him interrupt her, we have her start a thought, cut it off.
Oh yeah.
Make the confession. Right.
Yeah,
so
that's good. That's excellent. Yeah.
It lands, it brings the power into that last phrase. So instead we can do, I didn't sign up for this.
Right.
She said, right. So now she's interrupting herself and he can just say, stay inside.
Right.
So we keep the like ordering, commanding side on his, but doing this, we're acknowledging the like self-realization of that statement. I didn't sign up for this.
That's a good catch. That's good. It's really good. Because he directly responds to what she said.
Yeah, he directly was saying, he's like, stay inside, like just stay.
Well, he
here.
doesn't really respond, but he reacts to what she just said. He's just going to get out.
He's moving about his thing. He doesn't want to deal with her, but he also doesn't want her to leave.
Right.
So he's like forcing her to stay. And we start to build the intensity here in that, well, and we didn't say this beforehand, but so the way the intensity is building here is, he has this man duck in the window. She says, what's going on here, which is like the fourth time she's asked that, which is great. But nobody's telling her what's going on. Then you have this man stick his head in the window and it says, I'll tell you what's going on. The revolution is going on. The Scarface man said scornfully. And then Alexandra says, don't worry, comrade. She's one of us. He turned to her and said, "Stay inside and do not go out, no matter what happens." So we get this sense of like dread, but at the same time, him like linking her in.
Yeah.
And so now when we bring this, I didn't sign up for this as the like, not just bringing the weight to the thought of this, but pushing back on what he has said, right? Like, she's one of us now, right? Like, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Stay inside," right? Giving her
Yep.
orders. And then I want her, like, you have her pushing back again here, which is great, where she says, "Maybe you should just take me home,"
Mhm.
right? Like, again, like, and then him saying again, "Just stay inside." So like the back and forth there of him like ordering her and forcing her to like accept that she's a part of this thing,
Mhm.
and her talking to him like they're on some kind of date where he's
Yeah.
like, "Maybe you should just drive me home."
Right.
And I like what you did with her here, because she totally has the power to just get out of the truck and walk.
Yeah.
She
She
walks
does.
everywhere through the whole story. But you've got that like catch in her, because you've built up this like, first her like reluctant joining, and then her
Mhm.
like, you know, guilty pleasure joining, and now she's kind of like built her bed and it's going bad, but we still have that like, I don't want to be a part of this, but I also don't want to
Mhm.
leave. Which is
Right.
a nice, yeah, a really great kind of juxtaposition there.
Cool.
So here, I thought this slide was funny. It made me laugh, because you have him yelling, and he yells, "Quick, soak the tires with kerosene," which I tried to imagine him yelling to a group of men, "Quick, soak the tires with kerosene." And it's just too many words,
Yeah, you're right.
right? So like,
Yeah.
we just want that, like, soak them.
Soak
That's
them. Yeah.
all we need, right?
That's
Like, but
all he
like,
needs.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I laughed at it. I put that smiley face in the notes for you because I read it like 5 times, like trying to figure out, like, can he scream that? And I just like have like,
Soak them with, yeah, I got it.
uh,
I got
my
it. Yeah.
kids were playing a PlayStation next to me over here
Yeah.
as I was working, and I was like, "Soak the tires with kerosene. Soak the tires with kerosene." I was like, it's just not. It's not coming out.
Oh
And they're
God.
looking at me like, "What is he doing?
What's Dad doing now?
What's he? Who is he talking to?"
He's talking to himself again.
I was. I don't even think I had my headset on.
That's
So
so
it's,
funny. That's so funny.
yeah. So anyway,
That's
if
good.
we
I
just
got
have,
it.
but then because we're taking the context out of the
Mhm.
dialogue, we got to add a sentence
Yeah.
where they follow through, and so we know what he meant by soak,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's a good point.
Because we want the dialogue to feel authentic, but we also can't lose the
Mhm.
context, so we got to
Right.
add that extra sentence in there. He yells at her. This is all great. Okay, so here, you start moving too fast,
Okay.
and you and I have talked about this, but I'm just going to refresh it because we are recording this. I have to keep reminding myself, or I'm going to go into our shorthand where we're just like, "You're moving too fast," and then move
Yeah.
on.
Right.
But I got to
Explain it. You got to
yeah,
explain
I
it.
got to explain it. So we
We
do this
talked
when
about this before because I have a tendency near the end to rush it.
we all do. We get
Yeah.
excited about the ending. We're like getting close, and then we start just like pounding out
That's right.
language, and we lose. What we're losing is the
Yeah.
emotional movement of it. So originally
Mhm.
you gave him 3 sentences. She says, um, "What in the hell was that about?" She said in English, I sure didn't sign up for this." He took a deep breath. "No one signs up for a revolution. Either a person is in or they're out," he answered in Greek. And then you have her saying, "If blocking the streets with burning tires is part of a revolution, count me out. This could be really bad for me. I thought we were going to a peaceful demonstration."
Yeah.
That's like the whole game. She just gave away the whole game in 3 sentences.
Yeah.
So we're going
That's
to take,
too much. That's too
we're going
much
to take
right
2
there.
of those away, and we're going to move them down the paragraph.
Got
Right.
it.
So we're just going to keep, and when I was deciding which of the 2 to take away, I said, okay, let's ask, like, emotionally, what are these phrases doing for her? If blocking the streets was part of the revolution, count me out. That's a declaration of, like, that's a line in the sand.
Mhm.
That's a pretty big thing to say. So that one in my head, like, that's a big one. I'm going to
Yeah.
hold that one.
Yeah.
This could be really bad for me. that's a vulnerable expression of worry.
Mhm.
So that one for me is kind of the second. It's not the line in the sand. She's not drawing a line in the sand yet.
Yeah.
She's just confessing, like, I'm concerned about me right now.
Right.
Right. Which is like a confessive moment.
Each one could stand on their own.
No, and I'm going to make, like, we'll make them all stand on their own. Yeah.
Right. Right.
And then I thought we were going to a peaceful demonstration. That's the least weighty, because she's talking about
That
the
comes
moment.
first.
And yeah. So that one comes first. Right. Like, so I
Yep.
thought we were going to a peaceful demonstration.
So you're building up. You're
Yeah.
building up. Yeah.
And then we have to give him a line. And so I'm just being the state that he's in. He's just going to keep saying the same things over and over. We're doing what the revolution requires. Now we're going to give her the confession. This could be really bad for me if anyone's calling me. I work here.
Yeah.
Right. And then he's starting to come down. Right. Like, you have him coming down because the tires are burning and they're driving away. Like, he's happy. So he's like, do not be so nervous. Try to relax, he says.
Right.
She originally, you had her saying, how can I relax? The American embassy is right there, she said, pointing. So I just took away the how can I relax, because it's
implied too.
Yeah, we want to keep that.
The tension should show it. The tension should show it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The American embassy is right there, she said, pointing. Yes, and I gave him a line. Yes, I know. Right, like, because that's why he's here. Like,
that's why he's here. That's why he's burning the tires.
Yeah, that's why he's setting tires on fire. And then we have her saying, "Oh, I get it now." Again, like, we don't need her to say that. Like, the text communicates it. And so I just gave her a question.
Good.
That's why you're blocking the streets. And it's more of like a revelation than a question. And then he can say it sends a message. He can say what kind of message. It shows them the revolution is alive and will not die in their hands. And so now I'm going to bring back the haymaker.
That's right. That's right.
Right. Good. Line in the sand. If blocking the streets with burning rubber tires in the revolution, then count me out. But we can't end there. Right. Like, we've got to, like, bring it to some conclusion here, because she draws a line in the sand, but we know for the plot, we have to keep them
together.
We got to let him process it with her. And so I gave him this, like, you said you didn't mean that, he said with a laugh. Or you don't mean that, he said with a laugh. Getting him to, like, play off the fact that she just drew this line in the sand. Please just take me home. Right. I love that you had this please just take me home in here, because what you're doing now emotionally is she drew a line. He challenged the line. And instead of redrawing the line, she's going back in the conversation to where she was before.
Yeah. Right.
Which shows that, like, she's actually backing off of the line, because she's not saying, like, no, I'm out.
No, I'm out of here.
Saying, like,
stop the truck.
Yeah. Please just take me home.
Yeah.
And he's like, no worry, we go to the university now, he said in English. He quickly made a U-turn and headed in the opposite direction. And so, but we can't stop there, because she's in the middle of this, like, she hasn't fully emotionally processed. So I just added a couple more lines. And I said, like, wait, what? And he said, for the peaceful demonstration, the pretty part that you like, we do that now, he said in English.
Right.
I wish you hadn't shown me this. Right. Like, and the reason I use these words is because I want her, again, like, I'm back in it with you. I'm still here together, but you should have kept this part from me.
Yeah.
And so we move.
That's good. That's really good.
We move off of her line to bring her back into sync with his revolution. And then we always give him the last line, because that's part of his pacing.
That's who he is. Yeah.
He likes to say the last big thing. So, flashing her smile in Greek, he said, I know, but you needed to see it. You needed to see what's required.
What's required. That's
so
great.
He does this thing now. Well, at least I was trying to get him to do this thing where he's like, I'm the master puppeteer here, and you just need to trust me with what we're doing.
Right. Follow me. Follow me.
Yeah. So, great scene.
Cool.
I love it. You did so well with it.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah.
How do you feel about the changes?
Good. Really good. Yeah. And I really liked the part what you just said about pacing that out at the end and building on it. Instead of just throwing it in 3 sentences right together. That was beautiful. That's a really good. That's a good technique.
Good. Yeah. We've talked about a scene like this being like a song, and that when you're listening to a song, you don't just want it to stop in the middle of of
Right.
the build. If it stops in the middle of the build, you're like, where did the rest of the song go?
That's right. Or
And
give me
so,
more. Or give me
yeah,
more.
or give me more. So if we want to make the reader uncomfortable and frustrated and wanting more, then please go ahead and stop in the middle of the chorus before you hit that like 1 or 5 chord to like
Got
end
it.
the song.
Got
But that's not what we want here, right? Like we want her pulled back in.
it.
So we need to actually like bring the song to an end here,
Okay.
so that there you feel that resolution. And so that's all this is that like, do we want to cut this mid-chorus so that the reader's like, wait, was that is there no more on the next page? Was that a
Yeah.
mistake?
I
And this
hope
isn't
so.
a cliffhanger, right? Like this
Right.
is
No.
a moment of reflection and like a moment of her getting dug in deeper. So we don't want to end it on a cliffhanger.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
Plus,
good.
you're not. This isn't a thriller. This is a
Right.
literary drama. So we don't want to
That's right.
have
Cool.
thriller
That's great.
endings.
Big help. Big help. Thank you.
Okay, second chapter.
Nice. Yep.
This one. So first off, damn, you did a good job.
This comes before. So we
I
know.
flipped their order.
Yeah, this comes
Oh,
before
that's right. I
what
flipped
we
them.
just did. This is the warning for her not to go with.
You're
not to
totally
go.
right. I totally flipped them.
No problem. No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. Sorry, I flipped them when we were talking about them.
This is
So
the one you suggested I write to,
yeah,
to build up the tension, or to build up the put it in her head that, hey, you know what? Maybe it's not the right thing to do, but she kind of fights that off.
so what were you thinking when you wrote this one? I just want to get into your process a little bit.
Okay,
Because
I
it's
was
good.
thinking, I
Because
was
it's good.
thinking, I was thinking that I knew what I had, I knew what came right after it,
Okay.
and I knew I had to get something that contrasted it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, hey man, she's got to be warned not to do it,
Yeah.
not to be involved in this political rally.
Yeah.
That's kind of what,
Okay.
that's what it's set up. And I had to bring the other character in because we haven't heard from him for a while.
Yeah. So Leonidas or Leo is her on again, off again boyfriend,
Right.
who is a little bit the opposite of Alexandros. Not machismo,
Exactly.
not Che Guevara, more like doting academic with some control issues.
That's right.
Is who Leo is.
That's exactly right.
So, and he's gonna ask her. He's gonna get upset in this chapter because they haven't had dinner in a while. So he's
They haven't seen each other for a couple of weeks. So.
Yeah,
And they had something strong. They had something really good going on. He was too pushy, and she got away from it.
And she freaked out
and she
ran.
Met this Alexandra.
Yeah, ran to the arms of
That's
the
right.
revolutionary. Yeah. So this first paragraph was really good. This is really just me playing with language.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It's a good chapter. It's a good paragraph. I was like, I bet. As I read it, I was like, I bet I can help him get rid of half of these words.
Yeah.
So that was my goal there. Was just editing out.
And you
words.
did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here you have this like the sun cast. So just so listeners know, what's happening in the sky is a big theme for you, which is great for literary fiction where you've got these themes running that are exterior to the characters but show the character's emotional state and like what's going on. So the sun casts short dark shadows on the fallen marble slabs scattered along the south side of the stoa. So that I know that sorry about that, that I know that is a theme. Tells me that like, okay, this is something shadowy is going to happen here, right? Like something like you're setting up the sunlight,
right?
Cast this shadow. But then you have this line: she was humming Donovan's Mellow Yellow under the tent when Leonidas walked up behind her. Give her some action too, because what that communicates is that she's just like
la-di-da
humming. Yeah,
got it.
Yeah, and part of this comes from like the random computer narrative design that I have to do for work, where like if you're like, okay, what do you want this character to do? If the computer's like, what do you want this character to do? And you tell the computer like, I want them in the tent humming. The computer will literally just like put them in the tent humming.
Yeah.
So you got to be like, okay, fine. I want them in the tent working and humming, right? Like,
doing something. Yeah.
Yeah. So we just need to like let the reader computer know, like, this is so that they can get a
Good.
better visual of what's
Good.
going on. We don't want to assume that they're going to know that she's like cleaning crap up.
Right. And I threw that particular song in there because it tells you the time. This song came out in 66 and this scene's taking place in 67. So,
Perfect.
I mean, I
Yeah.
just said, what's the biggest hit in 66? And that one came up and
Yeah.
it's an American. She's an American. So she's not humming some Greek song,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's great scene setting, that kind of like, rather than like constantly telling us the date,
right.
just giving us references that
Okay.
let us know like, hey, that's a really great technique. Yeah, so the opening conversation here is really good. I'm just playing with language. I didn't really have anything to say. He comes in and keeps trying to ask her if he can help, and she's like, I've got it, I'm done, which is great for their relationship because he's been like trying to push himself onto her as like, I need to take care of you, I need to be your caretaker, and she's been like pushing back. Because we haven't seen him in so many chapters, this opening here reminds us of like where their relationship's at.
Got it.
That he's like, I'm going to do this thing, and she's like, I got it, don't do that thing.
Yeah.
But then you have this sentence here. Originally wrote, he reached to take her hand. Margot, what's going on? She stepped back, scanned the tent, and said, nothing's going on. I'm just cleaning things up, preparing for tomorrow. It's a hot, long day. So I read that he reached to try to take her hand. I was like, oh, this is an emotional change, right? Like we've got it.
Right.
There's a change up here. He's just watching her and he's like, hey, can I clean that trowel? And she's like, it's clean. Can I clean those shovels? They're done. Right. Like now he's going to like, this is what he's really here for. He's not here to help clean up. He's here to talk to her. So whenever we get those like emotional pivots, we just want to sit in it. Right. Like, so I'm just slowing it down. He reached to try to take her hand, but she pulled away.
Right. That's what I didn't have, but she pulled away. That's good. Yeah.
And then you add this like with his hands on his hips, right? Because again, I'm just adding some body language to slow down the pace. With his hands on his hips, he asked Margot, what's going on? She stepped back, scanned the tent, wiped the perspiration off of her forehead with her sleeve. So again, I'm just slowing her down, right? Like nothing's going on. I just clean things up, preparing for tomorrow. It's been a long, hot day. Move. And then you had he came closer.
Yeah.
I want it more active. So I'm going to use it as a descriptive verb, moving closer to her. He said,
good.
Right. Like instead of he came closer, we're going to actually like give him the action while he's talking.
It comes. Yeah. That action comes quicker to the reader.
Yeah. I mean, and it comes quicker and it gets that like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Good. That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
He's kind of starting to pace now. But again, here, I want you to slow down, right? Because we're jumping into it too fast. So he's again making another aggressive move here in the dance that they're doing. So now let's sit in it again, right? Like moving closer to her. He said, something must be going on. You've been avoiding me even now when I'm trying to help you. I don't need your help and I'm not avoiding you. I've been very busy with excavations. It's been 2 weeks since we talked. Now I want to slow down. I've been busy. Look, I want to start over and clear things up between us. She sighed. So originally you had him saying, it's been 2 weeks since we talked. I want to start over.
Yeah.
I want to clean things up between us. I discovered this nice little cafe in Piraeus. I want to take you there for dinner tonight.
Yep.
So I'm going to bust that up so that we have to sit in this
slowing it down.
Yeah. Leo, you made an emotional mess and now you have to sit in it. And we as the reader have to sit in it with you because you made this mess. Right.
I know the emotional journey we've talked about. So
that's
many
right.
times. Yeah.
Leo, you're on the emotional journey, Leo, and it got uncomfortable. And since it got uncomfortable, we all now have to learn a lesson. So it's been 2 weeks since we talked. I've been busy. Look, I want to start over. Things are clear. But yes, I'm not even going to give her any words. Just let her sigh. Right?
Yeah.
Like she sighed. I discovered a nice little cafe. I want to take you there for dinner tonight. And then I love that you did this line where he's talking about taking her out and she's going to bring back the fight they had in the past.
Right.
about his desires. This was, man, this was genius. Genius turn in conversation here. You want a lot of things.
Yeah.
Right? Like really nice. I'm not even going to ding you for your use of italics. It's such a good turn in the conversation.
Oh yeah, I just noticed that.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
But
right.
But I'm not even going to mention it. I'm going to let it go.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. I really appreciate it. I like the way you got that in there, you know?
No, I'm not talking about it. So, because it's such a good line, I'm going to leave it.
All right,
So
cool.
he says, I'm just, so you had him say, I just want to take you to dinner, right? Which is the number of words there is a little more aggressive. And I want him hurt. So I'm just going to back the number of words down.
It's just dinner. That's
just
all.
dinner. That's all.
That's all. Yeah.
Right. And
Beautiful.
you can hear the difference. I just want to take you to dinner. That's all. Between it's just dinner. That's all. And putting that instead of a comma, putting a period there. So it's two full thoughts.
Right. Right. That's excellent.
Yeah. It starts to land that like that's all, which is nice.
You mean leave the period in?
No, you originally had a comma.
Yeah, take the comma out, make it two. Yeah,
make it two thoughts. Yeah, because originally it was I just want to take you to dinner.
That's all. That's all.
Yeah. And so, like, let's shorten it to like feel the weight of it. It's just dinner. Period. That's all. Period.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
And then she says, "I already have plans tonight," which I love. So great. I love the blow off.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're busy every night." And so again, I want to slow it down because now he's accusing her of something. So like, oh, you got to sit in it again, Leo. It's like, so she's can just, and I don't really like the I'm busy here, but I'm just restating what she said. Yeah. You may want to put something else.
Yeah, I can work something else. I can work something here. Yep.
And then I put in like just one night, just tonight, cancel your plans. Right. Which is his, like, he does that thing where he like begs and pleads, but also just kind of tells her what he wants her to do.
And that mirrors what we just talked about too, up on the two little short sentences. That's where he is right now. And he's
still in that voice, that like pleading, desperate, what he does when they're in a fight.
That moderation, he's still in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And his cadence changes where he starts using those like short sentences, few words. Yeah. So, and then this is great. Tonight's important to me.
Okay.
Which she's going to go burn the tires. She doesn't know that. And then he's like, "Oh, I'm sure it is," he said sarcastically. So here we've got another emotional change.
Let me ask you something here.
Yeah.
I debated whether or not to use that sarcastically because I want to show it without. How would you show something sarcastic? I mean, how would you show that and not use that word?
You could have had
that's a tough one.
You could have had like, well, tonight's important to me, period. He rolled his eyes. Oh, I'm sure it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
Or like, that's a good one.
So whenever you don't want to use, an adjective or an adverb, those ly words that Stephen King recommends we all get rid of.
That's why I hesitated.
Yeah. So. Whenever you don't want to use one of those, just replace it with body language.
I was trying to think of the right body language and I couldn't come up with something, So I'd start Googling, how does a person act when he's not sure? Or no, when he's confused or something, when he wants, whatever.
What's funny? I find it sometimes helpful just to Google like facial expressions, sarcastic, or like gestures, sarcastic.
I think that's what I did. That's what I did. Yeah.
And it'll give you a ton of stuff.
Right.
This is just a weird side note, but I was doing at my day job, we're building a program for teenagers with autism that is a virtual work day, where they like practice going to work during the day.
Cool.
It's like a video game setting. And part of it is helping them learn to pick up on facial cues and gestures that people are giving them.
Okay.
So today the reason I'm laughing is because today I literally like worked with an actress looking into a camera and I was like, all right, look happy. She'd like, look happy. And I'm like, okay, cut. I'd be like, all right, because I was the director for the day. I was like, all right, sad face. And she'd go, and then she'd come back and be like, cut. And we did like 50 expressions. It was
great. Did this one come up?
Yeah, oh yeah, we totally rolled eyes. That's where I got.
Really?
Like,
that's cool.
Roll eyes. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Because I was like, roll your eyes like you're annoyed.
Good.
So yeah. Anyway. So she
Cool.
looked past her shoulder to a group of tourists peering through the chain link fence at the excavation site. It's getting late, and I really don't have time for this now. This is a really nice turn because he kind of hints to it here,
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I'm sure it is," but now he's gonna let her know that he's got ammo.
Right. You had time two nights
He had
ago.
time 2 nights ago. So great.
Haven't you
Uh,
had that conversation now? Come on, tell me the truth.
no, I haven't.
Oh
Mostly,
yeah. Right.
mostly because I'm such a nerd. I'm just really happy my wife's around. So like, I would
I'm not talking
never
about.
say
I'm
anything like
talking
that.
about. I'm talking about way back. I'm not talking about now.
No, there was no way back. There, this is
Okay.
this was it. This is
You're
all there
playing.
is.
You're playing safe. That's okay. I got you.
I love that you think that I like had some kind of dating life before my wife. She's like literally the first person that would give me time of day. And I was like, you gave me time of day, I'm in for life. You and
That's
me.
funny. That's
Here we
funny.
are. Yeah.
It's all becomes clear now.
Yeah. So I tell her all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just happy to be here. I'm like, I don't care what we do.
That's
She was
right.
like, I want 5 kids. I was like, great, let's do that as long as I get to
Thanks.
stay around.
Thanks
Yeah.
for including me.
Thanks for letting me be a part of this. Um, so he says that he saw me. I loved this line too. I saw you walking out of the Tivana with a man. And then she says, you were following me. Such, so great that she doesn't address what he said.
Right.
That she like turns it back on him, like, how dare you follow me out of to this bar? That she doesn't address the fact that they in his mind they're actually still in a relationship. They're just going through a hard
Right.
part. And he's like, how dare you follow me? Yeah, which is really great. So and which puts him on the defensive. No, I just happened to be passing by and saw you. I like,
Right.
who were you with? Like, it's just this is a really nice. I really loved this
Cool.
whole page here. It's really great. Um, yeah, I had no notes for like a page and a half because it was so good. The like fight between them was just great. Here though, we lose the emotional thread a little bit. So
Okay.
let's focus here. He says, or she says, well, it sure does sound like it. The answer is still no, I'm busy. She placed a field of books in a line on the top of the table. I really like that you gave her motion here in body language because we've got this quick back and forth where there's no dialogue tags, there's no attribution. Their voices are very different. We can totally tell who's talking. It's a two-person conversation, so we can just follow the back and forth, right? And then you start her here. I already told you I have other plans. She ran her finger along the edge of the table, which is part of her voice that she's always like touching things.
Right.
And so you kind of start here of her like slowing it down a little bit. And then he's like, what kind of plans? Plans of living life without so many demands. I'm not demanding anything. I'm only asking. Well, it sure does sound like it. The answer is still no, I'm busy. She placed the field of books on top of the table.
Okay.
So the like placement, moving from the like touching the table to actually like placing books on it has a nice like decisive feel to it of like, I'm trying to end this thing.
Yeah.
And go back to work. Right. Like, I'm done standing here talking to you. I'm going to go back to work now. But he's going to stay. Like, what's the big deal? It's only dinner, he said. And then you had her saying directly to him, Leo, this is so ridiculous. Right. But she's trying to end it. So she's not going to jump back in. So I changed this so that she could just mumble to herself.
Oh, yeah.
This is so ridiculous.
That's really good.
But then keep him trying to engage, right? Not to me, it isn't.
Yep.
So you had her like gasping and getting bigger, but I'm going to suggest you pull her down. Listen to me. I'm busy. I have plans.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of this has been said. You had a couple lines in here where he's like kind of whining and being a big baby.
Right.
So I want to bring back the man because you drop the man and then we don't come it back. Yep. It's like a gun in the scene. If you show a gun, somebody better be shot. So plans with the man I saw you with? No. Right. She just outright lies. I don't believe you. And then she's going to try to make it about the cause. I've been volunteering. Volunteering, yes. So like just
Yeah.
bringing it
Yeah.
back to the
Yeah.
man one more time.
Because that's the most important thing. This other man's going to
Yeah,
be.
well, it's what he's going to obsess over, right? Like
Exactly. Yep.
this is where we're headed in the love triangle
Yeah.
with him.
Yep. And I got to bring it back. You're right.
Mhm. And it's like we were doing before with her, where we're bringing back in the other chapter where we're bringing back the university,
Mhm.
because that's the most important part, or we're emphasizing the fact that like how this is going to impact her, because that's the most important thing emotionally to them.
Yep.
The man is the most important thing emotionally to him. That's
To
what he
him.
cares.
To him. That's right.
Yeah, that's why he's even asking her to dinner tonight. Like you have to ask the question of like, well, if he didn't see her with Alexandros, would he even be asking her to dinner?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like
Probably.
but now that he's revealed this, it's all about like him being in control again,
Yep.
right? Like I
Yep.
said,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So you get into this great back and forth about volunteering, and he's like, for who? And then he's like, you're not serious, I hope. And she says, why are you so surprised? I took this out because it's implied.
Yeah.
Has to win as much as he can. And then here, I cut back his language a little bit, mostly because he's shocked. So we don't really need all of these words.
Yeah.
And what he's saying is big enough, right? So originally you had, I can't believe you. What about the department's policy on getting involved in local politics? It could end up bad for you. Your career's at stake. So we can cut some of those. And we can just have, what about the department's policy of getting involved in local politics? If you get caught, this could be really bad. Your career's at stake.
That's right. That's right.
Right. Like, so we can just pull it back. And then you had him coming in with this, like all of a sudden, like you had his line continuing. But again, I want to slow it down because what he said is a pretty big deal. So we need her to respond. And she says, don't. So I just added this line of don't be dramatic.
Good. Then he gets back into it.
Yeah. And then he's going to come back into it.
Good.
And then we're restating her, like, don't lecture me, Leo. This is more important than department policy. So again, we have her like drawing lines in the sand, which lines up great with the tire thing that's going to come next, because she's like choosing this with him, which accentuates that scene all the more. Yeah. And here again, I'm just like cutting your words. Like we just don't need that many words.
Right.
And then I love that you bring back the sun here, and that it's noon, the sun feels bright on her, and she's never felt more free. Right. Like it's a really nice, you're bringing back that metaphor you used at the top of the page of like the light and how the light's working. And now she feels like she's out in the sun and she's free again.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, it's really, you did a great job with this.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to talk about with it?
Not right now. That's excellent. I got, patch things up a little bit, put it away, and send you some more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. I'm going to stop the recording. We can talk about what we're going to do next week.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.